Hello everybody, it's Mel. Thank you for joining me today for a Katabasis reading vlog. So apologies for the bub in the background. You won't be seeing them, but you can hear them. Currently I'm in the car because I'm about to go and pick up my copy of Katabasis by R.F. Kuang, which I am incredibly excited about. So I thought that since so far 9 people have voted and I think about 6 of you have said that you would like to see a vlog of me reading it, so that's what we're going to do today. Well, we're going to start the vlog. I don't know when I'm going to get to reading the book. Hopefully today, but we'll see how we're going. But anyway, I better get on the road because Bub would like us to get moving. I've got a couple of chores to do before I actually pick up the book.
Hi there, it's Editing Mel here, and I just wanted to jump in here and say that upon editing this vlog, I have now realised this is a really jumpy, random, half-finished thoughts, all over the place kind of vlog. So just be aware of that. And also, I have put in a lot of spoilers, so also be aware of that. I would completely understand if people do decide not to watch this, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of give you a heads up because there's a lot of times where I'm like in the middle of saying something and then I have to go for whatever reason. So yeah, there is that. Hello. It's the next day and I have read 64 pages of the book. I'm up to, I actually didn't notice what chapter I'm up to. They're reasonably short chapters. I think I'm up to chapter 9 or something like that. But yeah, they're reasonably short chapters. And I'm enjoying it. I feel like I need to lie down or something. Give me a second. Alright, so I'm enjoying it. I think that the comparison to Babel has made it slightly different from what I expected. Not that that makes it not as good, but it is, yeah, it's just a little bit different. Because it's R.F. Kuang and because it was a dark academia, I was kind of expecting it to be somewhat similar to Babel. But I feel like it is not as verbose as Babel. Like, Babel had a lot of discussion around the magic system and kind of academia and politics, whereas this one has kind of, we dive straight in basically into the characters going to hell. Like, that happened within the first couple of chapters. And I was expecting that to take a little bit longer, but yeah, we dive straight into where that was happening. And it's a lot faster paced. Although having said that, it is swapping, but I mean, she did that in Babel as well. Like, you get this happen and then Alice being the main character, Alice thinks about like how she kind of got there, or like who was, what am I trying to say? How she kind of got there, or like what this maybe makes her think of, that kind of thing. So we're getting a lot of like setting the scene by exploring kind of Alice's, how she got to the point she's at. Whereas the actual action is taking place initially on her, like, starting the process of the spell to get to hell, and then Peter joining her, and then her and Peter going to hell. And they are now in hell, and it's right now it's basically just a kind of looking for something travel book, so like quest kind of story. And yeah, like I said, it's a lot more fast paced than I was expecting. I was expecting it to be a bit more verbose and a bit more like academic feeling and a bit more literary fiction feeling, whereas this is like, yeah, like we're moving forward quite quickly. But that's fine. That's like good, because it shows that R.F. Kuang is capable of writing really different styles, which is amazing. And yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm intrigued to know what's going to happen while they're in hell. I'm assuming that because we kind of went straight in there, there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens in hell, and we're going to learn more about the characters. They're kind of enemies, but they were friends from this. It's kind of hinted at that. It had some kind of falling out. So they used to be quite close, and then they had some kind of falling out, and now they don't really speak to each other. But it hasn't explained what actually happened or how they got to that point. So I'm expecting that will come out as we go through as well. But even though we're moving quite fast, I don't feel like we've found out a lot of stuff. Like, I found out a fair bit of stuff about Alice and kind of why Alice is in academia. We're moving fast, like the action's moving fast, but we're not necessarily, it's not like here's a bunch of information, blah, but the kind of Alice thinking about, her life is giving us information. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm enjoying the writing style, even though it's more like Yellowface in the way that it's written, in the sense of like it being quite more kind of just matter of fact prose. It's not quite as verbose and sort of literary and kind of lyrical as Fable, but it's still very good, and it's still really well written, and I'm intrigued about the characters. So we have Alice and we have Peter. Peter is one of these like just so smart and kind of like barely has to do anything, but still manages to do really well at what he studies, and an academic rival to Alice, who has to work quite a lot harder and is a really hard worker and focuses solely pretty much on her studies, to the point where she's endangering her life, basically. Like she hasn't really eaten properly, she hasn't really slept properly. Yeah, whereas Peter seems to be kind of like a bit more lackadaisical about everything. It doesn't yet sort of say whether or not Peter is a part of the aristocracy, like a rich person. I suspect that's probably part of why he's got kind of the seeming easy life. It hasn't said that yet. And I don't know obviously what happened between him and Alice, but something happened and they no longer are friends, and now they basically don't talk, basically don't acknowledge each other, kind of level of rivalry and animosity. And I'm intrigued to see what it was that happened. I mean, there's been no hints to what it was, so it could be anything. It could be like, one of them made a pass at the other one and they were rebuffed, or they ended up having sex and then it was all awkward, or someone got some kind of accolade the other one wanted, and it's all academic rivalry. They were both interested in the same person, and the other one, that caused issues, or they both wanted the same advisor and only one got that advisor, or some kind of academic situation that caused it, one getting jealousy over academics or jealousy over a paramour, or some kind of awkwardness due to some kind of possibility of, or beginnings of, or some kind of sexual thing between them. Don't yet know. It could be anything, really, is what I'm saying. But anyway, I'm going to go back to reading it now, and I'll jump in when I've read a bit more and have a bit more to say, I guess. Okay, so literally I started reading again, and they've now started discussing how they're going to travel through hell, and they're talking about various maps that they've made based on the various different accounts of people going to hell and coming back from hell, and it just got super academic, their conversations. So for example, it's just an oversimplified version of my map. If we take hell as non-Euclidean, Alice had only been to one lecture about non-Euclidean geometry, and that what she remembered was a lot of diagrams of potato chips and coral reefs. I don't know what you mean. Suppose it's less like a pizza anus? Less like that and more of a spiral. He drew a diagram below hers to demonstrate. Suppose we're in hyperbolic space, he said. Take the parallel postulate out of Euclidean geometry and assume we are dealing with negative curvature. Then we might visualize the quartz as a twisted pseudosphere, bounded on the outside but infinite on the inside. But we're not in hyperbolic space, said Alice. She did not know much about hyperbolic space, but this at least seemed obvious. We'd see all sorts of freak coral patterns around us. We wouldn't be walking on this flat plane. Actually, no, said Peter. That's the point. When you're inside of it, of course it's going to look like a flat plane. We see the freaky coral because we're three-dimensional beings visualizing two-dimensional hyperbolic space. But we're not four-dimensional beings, so we can't actually see the wonkiness of three-dimensional hyperbolic space. Curved lines appear straight to us. And at that point I was like, what? I had to read that twice. That's now the third time I've read it. Oh, stop it. As always, mathematics induced in Alice the acute urge to weep. What's the point? Yeah, I felt the same way. Hi, so I'm in the car because I am just picking up some burritos for dinner and I'm in the drive-thru. But I just want to jump in and say that I have now read further on. I'm not sure how many chapters or pages I've actually read since I last did my little update, but I think it's been about 4 or 5 chapters, maybe a little bit less, maybe 3 or 4 chapters, and a lot has happened.
yeah, a lot has happened. They found a girl, the shade of a girl who, or a young woman who used to be a magician at Cambridge as well, and was actually under Vimes was her advisor as well, and she committed suicide. And she saved them from both a demigoddess, I guess, and a pack of I don't know if I mentioned them, but these horrible creatures that are created from bone and chalk, which it turns out have been created by this couple who were magicians who killed themselves, like, I don't know, many years ago, or 20 or so years ago. They were like magicians who were also performers, and the academic magicians didn't consider them to be proper magicians, and they wanted to prove that they could defeat the ultimate thing, and so they could come back from death. But they killed themselves, and they haven't found a way yet, and they're still in hell, and they're trying to they're patrolling hell, finding magicians who come down to hell, similar to what Alice and Peter have done, and they prey on them and they use their blood because they can do magic if they use blood with the chalk. So now Alice and Peter know that they're, being like hunted basically, and this other character, Elsbeth, kind of does like, she's not hunting, she's a lot nicer, but she's doing the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so now we have Alice talking about a time when her advisor, Grimes, sexually harassed her, sexually assaulted her, and she went to a female lecturer, a female professor, and the professor basically turned on her and was like, well, what do you want? Like, you think that we don't need feminism. You think that we don't need, that me and my feminist counterparts are stupid. So what do you want? And I can understand why she would feel that way, but, like, at the same time, like, that's not really an appropriate response. Like, yeah, okay, that's not cool for Alice to think those things, but at the same time, like, it's not cool for Grimes to do that. And then she says, hey, Baba. Oh, do you want the phone? You can't have the phone. You can't have the phone. Excuse my hair. I just got dressed and I haven't managed to get around to doing the hair, but I wanted to jump in because it's been quite a while since I updated you, and I need to do so. So I'm actually only about 90 pages off finishing the book, and I'm still really, really enjoying it. I don't even remember what the last thing that I told you was happening, but so much has happened, I don't even know, like, where to start. It kind of feels like it turned from, like, some kind of Dante-ish, like, adventure through hell, which is obviously a lot of the inspiration, into, like, some kind of existential, what am I doing here? What is the purpose of my life? From Alice, which kind of, I guess she'd been doing the whole time, but kind of really came to a head when Peter was killed. So Peter was killed by the Crypt Keys. The Crypt Keys are magicians who were trying to circumvent death, effectively, but they killed them. Well, they're trying to show that they could come back from the dead. So they killed themselves and their young child, which is messed up. But anyway, like, it's nothing. I mean, it's a book, so, fiction, but, like, still, like, that's so messed up. Anyhow, yes. So I think I said this, they were stuck in a trap. They were stuck in, like, a trap that was based on Escher paintings. So I can't remember, I think in this world Escher was a magician, and Escher, yeah, and so he was creating these traps, these spells using his paintings, and so this is a trap based on a painting, based on Escher's spells. And Peter figured out how to get Alice out, but he would have to stay there, and so he was killed, and it was horrific. Alice could hear him screaming for, like, ages. So she's just gone into depression and, like, what the hell's the point, and, like, basically just given up hope. But she's still kind of hunting for Grimes, and she makes it to Dis, which is the city in the center of hell.
and she meets someone who shows her around, and then she almost gets kind of tricked into becoming nothing, basically, into becoming a tree. But then she doesn't, she breaks out of that. And then there's this really quite horrific scene. It's horrific. I mean, I'm sure it's horrific for most people, but being vegetarian, it was just like, oh dear God, where she describes in quite vivid detail how they both get caught in another trap. I mean, sorry, she gets caught in a trap, and this cat who had wandered into hell. So this whole idea is that animals like cats wander into hell. They don't know they're there. And this cat got stuck and is starving. Anyway, it gets in this trap, and it's quite a detailed account of how this cat, or this, it's a cougar kind of, I don't know exactly what it is, but like some kind of large cat like that, wild cat, killed by this trap, and the blood is collected in these buckets, and it's awful. Anyway, and Alice manages to escape from the trap and then kills this, well, it's already dead, but then she again describes it in quite vivid detail how she eats and cooks some of this cat, and then it's kind of horrible. But anyway, she's now hunting the crypt keys. She's basically given up on Grimes at this point, and she's now hunting the crypt keys. Yeah, it's all very exciting, and that's pretty much where I'm up to. So yeah, it's interesting. I definitely think that it's really quite amazing, really, the way that she is referencing all of these accounts, like Virgil, Tennessee, all these different accounts of like artists who supposedly, like in their stories, they went to hell. And of course that's not true, but in this book it's a literal account. They were magicians and they literally went to hell, so this is like factual. And she uses all of these things to try to get to hell, and then what she's in hell to refer to. And that was really interesting. And it shows, like, it's not just like I know about literature, it like shows how Kwong has obviously done her own quite a lot of research. Yeah, so anyway, I don't really have a lot to say, but I'm nearly finished, so I'm hoping to finish it today. Depends on Bub, obviously, and what else we have going on, but I don't think we have much going on. Yesterday we had a birthday party for one of my mother's group friends, so the little baby there, so we went to that in the morning, and then we had D&D in the evening, and then I had said I would cook a sticky date pudding for D&D, so I didn't get a lot of reading. I did read a bit yesterday, but I didn't get a lot of reading time because of doing all those various things. I was listening to another book while I was cooking. And on Friday I went out with my friend Michelle, and my sister-in-law was here in the morning. So I haven't had a lot of reading time recently, so I'm really hoping I get it read today. But again, like I said, it does kind of depend on, well, but we'll see how we go. Anyhow, I'm going to go and see what's going on because I've been absent doing stuff for a little while. So I'm going to go and see what Bub and my partner are getting up to. And hi. So I finished it. I actually finished it a couple of weeks ago now. So I kind of feel like, so I've read other things, I potentially don't have as an emotive feeling about it as I did when I finished it, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ending. I enjoyed all of the references to mythology and philosophy, and I feel like it's kind of a little bit of a snobbery thing. Like, you have to a certain extent, I don't know if you have to know them all well or have read them all, but you have to have some kind of understanding of a lot of different mythology and theology and philosophy to really get anything out of this book. So it is a little bit probably of a snobby kind of book. I haven't watched it yet, but I know that Emily from Emily Fox did do a review of this, and I'm pretty, from some of the things that, from what she put on the thumbnail and in the title, I'm thinking that she thinks it's a little bit too, fond of itself, if that makes sense. But I liked that because, I don't know, I enjoyed that. I just, having a vague idea of a lot of these things, I enjoyed that. But I do think that it's one of those books that probably takes itself a little bit too seriously. In the end, I gave it a 4.9 on in the Peach scale, which I have rounded up on Goodreads to 5 stars because I think it is a 5-star book, but it's not like a favorite book. I still really, really enjoyed it. I definitely am glad I've read it. I definitely feel like I got a lot out of it, a lot of things that were interesting to me, and all of that stuff that I just said, I think for me was to the benefit to the book, but isn't necessarily overall to the benefit of the book in terms of, I guess it depends what you want to get out of your books and what you want to say when you're writing your book. So I guess it's probably neither here nor there, but I don't necessarily know that it does the book any favours necessarily. But like I said, I guess it depends on what you're aiming to say with your books anyway. But I did really enjoy it. But like I said, I couldn't quite give it, in all consciousness, yeah, is that the right, I don't know if that's the right word. In all truthfulness, I couldn't quite give it 5 stars because it's not a favourite, which is making me think that I might have to adopt Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany's 6-star rating. So what she does is she has books that she's given 5 stars because she sees them as fantastic books. She enjoyed them. She sees them as being really well written, having something to say, you know, all of that sort of thing. But it isn't a favourite, and then she gives a 6-star rating to a favourite. So I think I'm going to have to start doing that because I feel like this book deserves 5 stars, but I also gave Babel 5 stars and it's a favourite of mine, and it's definitely better in my opinion than this one. I definitely enjoyed it more. So I'm going to have to think about that because there's been a few books this year that I haven't quite given 5 stars that I feel like normally I would give 5 stars because they're not quite favourites. So anyway, that's neither here nor there. So I did enjoy it. I thought it was really clever, like I said, and I like what she had to say about, I guess, about the way you see yourself and the way you let other people dictate how you see yourself and the way you let other people dictate what your worth is because of how they see you, if that makes sense. So I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. It's been, like I said, a couple of weeks now. I don't feel like I have much else to say, but I know that I've said some stuff while I've been reading it, so that works out. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of the vlog. So let me know if you have any thoughts, if you've read the book, what you thought of it. Are you planning on reading the book? Have you read Babel? What did you think about it compared to Babel? Let me know all of that down in the comments below. And yeah, that's everything I have today. If you'd like to leave me a comment but you don't know what, then leave me some kind of staircase emoji if there is such a thing. Otherwise, if there's not, I guess leave me something that makes you think of hell. But anyway, like I said, that's everything I have for you today. So thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I would absolutely love it if you would subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. And yeah, like I said, thank you so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you next time.